We ended up in a car crash at 80 miles an hour. We all were intact. Nothing had happened to us. We were so young and naive and stupid that we ditched the car for the night. We got into someone else's car and then we carried on getting high. And I remember going home that night on this summer night, and it was 4 or 5 a.m. by the time I got in, and I remember getting into bed and the sun had started to rise and it was sort of breaking through the half-drawn blinds in my room. And every time I tried to go to sleep, I was convinced that I was going to die. It was the most fragile moment I've ever had in my whole life, in the trauma and the fear of everything that had happened, and I was losing touch with reality. And so, in a moment of total weakness, I ran into my parents' room and I woke them up crying and said, "Will you take me to hospital? Like I'm dying." And my parents got up and they took me downstairs and they wrapped a duvet around me. They made me a cup of tea and they sat and they prayed with me until I fell asleep. And they didn't ask me any questions and they didn't want to work it all out. They just found their son in a moment of need and fragility and in despair and all of those other things. And they loved me. I think it's Tim Keller who says something like, "To be loved but not known leaves us having some experience of a superficial love. To be known and rejected is our greatest fear, but to be fully known and to be fully loved is a lot like the love of God." I think the bravest thing that we can do is come before Jesus in our nakedness and trust that he won't reject us in that state, but that he will actually move towards us and love us and clothe us and comfort us. There is nothing that God doesn't see and nothing that is going in your life which will serve as barrier to him loving you as you bring yourself to him. And that is the scandalous nature of grace. Grace moves towards us in our most broken moments, puts us back together.